You're muted. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Even undesirable are desirable.
Can't hear. Some reason we can't hear.
Maybe something wrong with me.
You are unmuted, yes, but we can't hear for some reason. Just a second. Pardon?
The cacao is substitute. That was also yesterday.
Yes, carob substitute. Yeah. What was the why we used? Why did we use that?
To exemplify something with bitter.
Yeah, how bitter can play a positive role. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Maybe you can put it in chat, Vinada Mataji, because we don't. Can't
You can't hear me now either, huh? Okay.
Can't hear you.
You're talking also something when something mixes with spices or with it comes back.
Hare Krishna?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. I was saying that undesirable are also desirable.
Undesirable are also in some sweets, or sourness in some sweets is desirable. Yes. So it's compared to spices. Actually, Rupa Goswami is using the exact word maricha, meaning pepper. Marichali, actually, spices like pepper and other spices. He's using that exact word. Yes. Something else? Remember? Do you remember which was your personal desirable, undesirable?
Yes.
What was it? Can you?
Humility.
Huh?
Humility.
Humility, yes. Was it desirable or undesirable? What else?
Actually, when you say humility, it looks desirable, but when you read this description of the humility, you are not sure anymore if it is desirable.
Yes, that's true. What else? Do you remember any of your own desirables, undesirables?
Joyfulness.
What was it?
Jubilation.
Tribulation?
Jubilation.
Harsha. Harsha seems to be like the undisputed desirable. Undisputed desirable element, yes. Okay, so these were our 33 Vyabhicharis, and they are taken directly from Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra. And all 33 from there. And in fact, Ananta Sarovara from Slovenia has written a very beautiful doctoral thesis in Banaras Hindu University on these all these details about Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, among other things, is a very important change of program for the medieval India up to today, because Bharata Muni speaks basically about eight rasas. So classic aesthetic theory speaks only about 8 rasas. And then some add Bhakti rasa. But Rupa Goswami puts a very powerful turn by establishing that we can have transcendental rasa with transcendental vibhava. So vibhava is the basis. And if you have transcendental vibhava, devotee and Krishna, transcendental vibhava, then all these rasas become transcendental. So he adds 5 rasas, so we have 5 rasas plus basically the rasas of Bharata Muni become secondary rasas. They become secondary rasas. gona. And meaning that they come and go, and the main sthayi bhava, main continuous, as Prabhupada translates this, rasa, taste in our relationship with Krishna, will be one of the 5 rasas. So for us as devotees, this seems to be like, well, okay, it's something we read on page 2 of the Gita introduction. What's new? But in fact, in philosophical or theological terms, this is a revolution. This is a revolution because the Middle Ages, actually for the whole last, how many? A few thousand years of Kali Yuga, it is all Nirvishesha Shunyavad. And not only in the West, I don't know, probably we're running in the jungle, a lot of us. But even in India. So this was a theological revolution to re-establish that you don't have to be just negative. So you can see they even begin with nirvada. Nirvada, disappointment, disgust, detachment, giving up this material world. To go into Shantarasa, which is the top of the top, peace, just neutral peace, that's the top of the top. But for us, all of a sudden, this Shantarasa becomes the bottom, so much bottom that many devotees don't even recognize this as a real rasa. Even Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to establish the 4 rasas. Shantarasa, what's there to establish? What is a dream of a dream for everybody else? For us, it's like, okay. It's a good foundation, maybe, for further development. So, jumping a little bit ahead, we have a nice quote. Is it big enough, or should I make it bigger? Can you read?
A little bit bigger, please. Awesome.
Like this. Hey. Okay, good. So there is a way to divide all these 5 ingredients into 3. So what are the 5 ingredients? Can you please tell me some ingredient? 5 bhavas which constitute rasa.
Vibhava.
Vibhava. That's Sattvika. Anubhava. Vyabhichari bhava. Sthayi bhava. Yes. Can I invite you unofficially for a short session of speculation?
Mental or philosophical?
So actually, let's bring up the verse, Marichali. Okay, so actually, okay, maybe there's no. We have a famous example, also quoted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because it's and okay. Here it is our Yatha Maricha Kandader. As you combine sugar, pepper, black pepper. Maricha is black pepper. Maricha is black pepper. And you make it into, Ananta Sarova translates this as sherbet. We would call it barfi. Basically, you boil down and make barfi. So we have five bhavas, constituents of rasa. So what would you So which of these 5 bhavas you would call pepper?
Satvika
Vibhava.
bhava, sthaya bhava.
Bhava, sthaya, satvika, you already called 3. Okay, 2 more. Correct. Well, vyabhichari, because vyabhicharis are oftentimes unpleasant. Yeah, like alarm, pride, ferocity, envy, sickness, bewilderment. You know, this is like pepper. If you take pepper without, like on its own, it's burning most, right? On its own, it's not so pleasant, burning. But if you add it in a very nice proportion to something else, then it becomes very nice. So, okay, this is spice. This is our spice. We were already speaking about this as spices. Then we have sugar, milk, and I don't know. Okay, pot. I would call it pot. So pot, what would you, which of the bhavas would you call this?
Sthaya.
Sthaya, okay. Anubhava? Anubhava is what? Anubhava is what?
Anubhava is voluntary action. Maybe it is vibhava, like you said, it is a riverbed.
Riverbed, yeah. This is my philosophical speculation that this is the pot. So vibhava is the proper container for this, for cooking the preparation. Sthaya bhava will be the steady bhava. So I would say this is the ready preparation. So barfi or sherbet or however you call it, sweet rice. And then we have just anubhava and sattvika bhava. So you may remember that sattvika bhava has been defined as one of the anubhavas, subsequent actions and transformations.
Wouldn't ready dish be rasa and not sthaya bhava?
Pardon?
You said that the already ready dish, whatever sherbet or barfi, would be sthaya bhava, but
Yes.
could not it be rasa actually? Because sthaya bhava is one of the components which, when they are put together, then they form a rasa.
Yes, and this is a big discussion. What is the difference between rasa and bhava, or what is the difference between sentiment and emotion? It's a big philosophical debate between Bharatmuni and others. But for us, we will take sthaya bhava as our established relationship with Krishna. So for our purposes, we will, because like we often say, what is your rasa with Krishna? And we mean one of the 5 sthaya bhavas. So for if it takes the subtle points, yes, you're correct. We want rasa as the experience, as the ready dish, yes. But it will usually have, its name will match the sthaya bhava, the continuous steady ecstasy, friendship, parental love, conjugal love, and so forth. So sattvika bhava is a form of anubhava, action, or something that results from the interaction. And so in this analogy, I would compare it to sugar. And in fact, this is something that is stated by both, by Rupa Goswami. So he basically speaks about 3. You can see in 2588, he says that there is karana, karya, and sahayaka, or cause, result, and helper. Anyway, I'm sorry for using whiteboard, but I think it's good. So basically we will have a cause or causal bhavas. Yeah? And this, in Sanskrit, this is karana. You're familiar with this word, yes? Karana. Karana dakashaya Vishnu, karana ocean, sarva karana karanam, right? Karana. So causal. And this is vibhava. Vibhava. The Sanskrit, I found one more translation of this Vibhava is Vibhava iti Vibhava. It enables you to experience something. Therefore, it's called Vibhava. Makes it possible. And how does it make it possible? By having the source of love and the object of love and some stimulating features. So for ordinary life and for drama, you have to find, actually, our Bharat Muni doesn't even provide a classification of this Vibhava cause. He speaks only about Shingar rasa, about loving relation, about conjugal love, romantic love. But Rupa Goswami speaks about 5 possible relationships, and Rupa Goswami establishes 13 types of Vibhava as the object, and Uddipana, what stimulates love. And as basis, Alampana, as the basis, it's more or less clear. So who is the ashraya, who is the vessel or pot for love?
Devotee on Bhava and further.
So congratulations, you're all the pot. Jackpot. If Krishna loves us. And who is the Vishaya, the object? Krishna. So that's already clear. These two, the horizontal is clear. We are giving love, and we are giving love to whom? To Krishna. If in the material drama or in the material relationship, you have to make clear: are you the lover? Do you have a lover? Is there, right? For the emotion to arise. In the spiritual world, it's easier because Krishna already is waiting for your love, and love is already dormant in your heart. That's already there. You don't have to look for something unnatural. You don't have to play, create. It's already clear that you are the lover and Krishna is beloved. And then something will stimulate, so Vibhava. And also, Krishna stimulating love, the stimulants for love. So that's also, we have all the Shastra, when we read, when we hear, when we say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It stimulates and it leads to creating karya. So this is the result of the anubhavas, like one of which is involuntary sattvika ecstasy. You can remember that. So some transformations. You can see already three are included, and something that makes it more exciting is, so this is karya, karana, result in cause, and then there is an assistant. These are the 33 Vyabhicharis. And this interchange is within the framework of your sthayi bhava, of your permanent, steady, continuous ecstasy, as your Prabhupada says. You are Krishna's friend, you are Krishna's parent, and so forth. So this allows us to have the idea. So again, this would be like the pot. This would be like, again, going back to a little bit of philosophical speculation. Something is there in the commentaries, and something is still not completely. Like he does say that this is like sherbet or koya, as they call it in Vrindavan, some kind of a barfi. So this will be the pot, this will be the sweetness, but to make this sweetness more interesting, we will have some assistant sahayaka, assistant bhavas, vyabhicharis, some of which may seem sharp, not so desirable. And together it creates rasa which you can relish eternally. So it's not going to be boring eternally, and spiritual life is plus Krishna, plus Lila, plus emotion, and not just minus everything material. Any comments, questions, doubts, objections?
I wanted to ask you, what does this, we have this vibhava, anubhava. Anu means following bhava, and what is vi in this word? How can that be translated? Does it fit into this? Because I also found yesterday when I was reading that vibhava is the cause. So I was wondering, what does this vi means in the word vibhava?
Do you have this prefix in Slovenian vi? You have it as hot, is let. Do you have something with vi? Vi. In Ukrainian we have.
In Czech is východ.
Yeah, východ. Yeah, in Ukrainian also we have. So it can be translated as this prefix is.
Or something that is coming from.
From, yeah, it's coming from this. But one of the translations is that vibhava it enables, it creates the opportunity for you to experience this bhava. That's why it's called vibhava. And again, this is, if you go into details, you can see that it's not accidental that Burijan Prabhu has left this for Bhakti Vaibhava and not included this section into Bhakti Shastri. Because to even learn the words, to learn their interrelationship, you have to go through it a few times. If you never read The Nectar of Devotion, and if it's your first ever encounter, I'm not sure how you are gonna, probably, I don't know, it's probably like warbling of a river or something. So auspicious vibration.
Preaching in Hindi at least.
Yes. Auspicious vibrations. Sweet nothings, yes, sweet nothings. to our intelligence. But if you also simply read this, as many of us have this experience, without, like my first encounter with the Nectar of Devotion, actually, it's not my first, maybe my second. My first was that I was requested to read and translate from English, and it was amazing. I mean, all these descriptions are quite amazing. But then the second was in the temple, in the BBT, it was what was read after the Mangalarati. So as we read the teachings of Lord Chaitanya here, we were reading the Nectar of Devotion. And from somewhere in the middle, I don't know, I don't remember exactly where, and it was still quite touching, because this is about Krishna. So we can, for example, read about sleep. Read, not practice, but read. This particular one is not practice, not to practice now. The lotus flower is sometimes surrounded by white swans, and sometimes it is surrounded by black wasps who are collecting its honey.
Wasps?
Well, they eat something. When there is a thundering in the sky, the swans go away, but the black wasps stay to enjoy the lotus flowers. The gopis' sleeping condition is compared to the white swans, and the sound of Krishna's flute is compared to a black wasp. When Krishna's flute sounded, the white swans, which represent the sleeping condition of the gopis, were immediately vanquished, and the black wasp sound of the flute began to enjoy the lotus flower of the gopis' beauty. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Prabhupada says Hare Krishna is a transformed sound of the flute. And you are, let's suppose, maybe you're all gopis. It's quite possible, right? It's not impossible. Maybe you're all gopis. So you have your amazing beauty like a lotus. So when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, the white swans of your sleep go away, and your beauty is enjoyed by the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Vishnu. You look very experienced and then. Thanks for coming. So, as you read about this, I mean, maybe we do not have the qualification to reach this level, but is it nice? Is it pleasant to read, to hear? Is it interesting? It's poetry. This is the power of... This whole book is poetry. It's theology in poetic form, with poetic melodies, poetic devices. And poetry means that it moves emotion, it moves your heart. So therefore it moves your heart, but it not only moves your heart, but it moves your heart in connection with Krishna.
What if we listen to melody which is not devotional and it moves our emotions towards Krishna?
Yes, so?
Is this good or shouldn't we?
If it moves for Krishna, how it can not be good? How can it not be good?
It's not balanced, that's it.
Well, in the 10th canto, where Das Prabhupada says that, this whole world is a transformation of Krishna's flute melody. So it depends on your vision. So if you have proper vision, then you see everything in this world. So sometimes they say that architecture is music in stone. So this universe is the music of Krishna's flute in material elements, so-called material elements. If you don't have the vibhava and proper vibhava, then you see the stone. But if you have, you hear the music. Like Prabhupada is passing the sign Cincinnati and he reads Chaitanya. So that's why we are trying to fill our heart with something connected to Krishna, so that everything we see. Also, all these examples, these poetic examples, this is also a unique contribution of Rupa Goswami, because not only he gives illustrations to everything, but also he gives illustrations from Krishna Lila, from Srimad Bhagavatam and other shastras. And a lot of these verses he creates himself. He writes himself. He's a poet.
Hands. So sleeping means being absent.
Oh,
Going away.
Sleeping what?
Sleeping rasa in sleeping manner means to be absent, to go away. Like the swans flew.
They went away, yes. Yes, but wasps remain. The black wasp of Krishna's flute tune. Yes. Madri, you have your hand up?
Yes, I was thinking about this question, and isn't there the example in Chaitanya Charitamrita of Lord Chaitanya singing this mundane song which only Rupa understood, or something, in front of Jagannath?
Yes, yes.
So that is like similar to what devotee said. I don't recognize the voice, so I cannot say.
Yes, you have some example. Okay. So, 33 Vyabicharis have been mentioned. Now, the next chapter 31 is called Additional Symptoms. And there are 13 symptoms mentioned. mentioned, which somebody lists separate symptoms, and here we see how it's still classed within the 33 already listed vyabhicharis. For example, fearfulness and anxiety. Yes. So, frightened at seeing, becoming frightened at seeing a lightning bolt in the sky. One feels anxiety, but they could be taken as just chinta, one of the vyabhichari bhavas. One's desire to hide his real mentality is called avahita, or concealment, and desire to exhibit superiority is called pride. Both of these may be classified under pretension. In a pretentious attitude, both avahita and pride are to be found. So this way you can see that all of these are reconciled as some of these 33. Okay, so still we have some examples from Vrindavan. One devotee exclaimed, can you please read this?
Oh, I cannot see the district.
Oh!
Oh!
Yes.
I cannot see the district of Mathura. Even though by simply hearing the name of Mathura, the hairs of my body are standing up, I cannot see the place. So, of what use are my eyes?
So there is a strong anxiety to see the district of Mathura, and it's based on attachment to Krishna. So the person, so you have a whole bouquet, a whole constellation of different emotions. There is another instance expressed by Bhima. My arms are just like thunderbolts. Can you please read?
My arms are just like thunderbolts, but despite these arms I could not smash Shishupala while he was blaspheming Krishna. Therefore, of what use are these strong arms?
So there is some anger, hopelessness, all based on strong attachment to Krishna. So he's angry at Shishupala, and he's angry at his inability. So they are again classed into Swatantra and Paratantra. So we have a lot of descriptions. So what is it called? In Srila Prabhupada's independent and dependent. Swatantra means not born of affection for Krishna, and Paratantra born of affection for Krishna. And then Vara, higher and lower, Vara and Avara, it increases or nourishes or doesn't nourish your ecstatic rati attraction, and directly or in a hidden way, Sakshat or Vyavahita, some secondary rasa. And then you will see that you have so the examples are given. What Gadadhar Pandit Prabhu read is the example of self-disparagement in one's direct affection for Krishna. So this is direct, Sakshat Vara, higher, and it's Paratantra because it nourishes one's attraction. And Swatantra means it's independent of, this is what Prabhupada writes, yes, dependent and inferior dependence, and independent. So they are classed as Rati Shunya, Rati Anusparshana, and Rati Gandha. Means there is a trace, some Gandhi means an aroma of your attraction. Anusparshana, it can touch your ecstatic attraction to Krishna. or it is rati shunya, no ecstatic attraction to Krishna. So therefore, if, for example, you fall asleep in the class, this is this is svatantra, vyabhichari bhava, but is it rati shunya or rati anusparshana? Is it devoid of attraction to Krishna, or does it have a subsequent touch of attraction to Krishna? I guess if you do come in I guess if you do fall in the class, anusparshana, I agree, yes. Because
You're already there.
you're already
It's
there,
not showing.
yes, and it goes on the deep, how to say, subconscious programming level, nourishing your brain. Whereas, if you fall asleep outside somewhere, then this is called rati shunya. If you are tired, whatever, sick, without service, if it's not connected to your devotional service, then this is rati shunya svatantra vyabhichari bhava. In this scientific analysis. Okay, so then we have pratik. Okay, these are abhasas. Abhas means a glimpse, приблизь. Yeah, you call it glimpse, glimmer. Like now, yeah. Now is the sun is here, and in fact it's quite bright. It's under those clouds outside. It's brighter than here. If you go and measure with the light meter, it's quite bright there. Even though you don't even see where the sun is. Yeah? Can you see where the sun is? Not really. But it's quite bright. So this is called abhas, and it can be pratikulya or anauchitya. So some of these ecstasies are either unfavorable, so there is an example of Kamsa when he heard how Keshi was killed. He was hopeless and disappointed and frustrated, and he said, can you please read? From the top, Keshi, Daitya.
After Krishna killed the Keshi demon, Kamsa said, Keshi Daitya was as dear to me as my own life, but he has been killed by some coward boy who is crude, uneducated, and ignorant in fighting. Even though I have defeated the king of heaven without difficulty, still I don't know how the value of life.
I don't know the value of life. Yes.
I know how.
Alas, alas, my life is useless. My life is hopeless. So it was the last demon killed in Vrindavan, and Kamsa feels rather desperate. Kamsa is depressed. So depression is bona fide vyabhichari bhava, but in Kamsa it's not an ecstatic transformation. It's pratikula, because he is hostile to Krishna. Okay. Going back to our Kamsa, or maybe not our, I don't know, can I say? Kamsa mentioned in our books, tells Akrura, you are such a fool that you are accepting a cowherd boy to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply because he has defeated some harmless water snake. I've seen a snake in a little tiny rivulet in your Tivoli Park.
No.
Yes? Like this.
Das ist still.
Huh?
That is still.
This long, and it was, as soon as it saw me, it just immediately jumped into water and disappeared.
I jumped, of course.
It slithered. But I assure you that Kalia was much bigger than... He was not some harmless water snake. The boy may have lifted one pebble called Govardhan Hill. What is more surprising than that is your statement that this boy is the personality of Godhead. So this is Pratikula. He is inimical to Krishna, and this is Asuya. He is inimical to Krishna, and not just inimical, he's actively inimical. He's sending demons to harm and kill Krishna. Anauchitya means inappropriate. This is in trees and animals who are seen by the gopis and seen by Krishna, and in fact they cannot engage in some rasa, direct rasa with Krishna, except Shanta. So that's why it's described as inappropriate. Yes, inappropriate.
This word, just a flash, reminds me of neuchit, neuchen, like uchiti means like, and it's like if you're not, uneducated, you act improperly.
Yeah, okay, yes. Thank you. All right, and we just have one more small two topics. So one is the stage of these Vyabhichari bhavas. It can be beginning, conjunction, aggregation, and satisfaction. Satisfaction is after. Like, for example, the boys died, and then Krishna looked at them, and they were brought back to life. And so just after, so this is this Shanti satisfaction. When Krishna looks at them and brings them back to life. So they went through this Mriti, death experience, not near death, but actual death experience. Mm-hmm. And then Krishna brings them back, and they feel happy on its resolution. Some other example is Srimati Radharani on going through some experience and then feeling satisfaction. So these are different degrees, and then a very mathematical description of different types of conjunctions. One emotion from two causes, two emotions from one cause, two emotions from two causes, several emotions from one cause, and several emotions from several causes. How's it called? In mathematics. Combination. Combinatorial. So you can see that Rupa Goswami is very precise. He doesn't leave any option out. He lists all of them with the examples. So if you like mathematics, there you go. If you like Krishna Lila, again, there you go. Like, for example, Mother Yashoda became stunned with bliss when she saw that little Krishna is safe, and the same, she was still stunned, she could move because of the anxiety. So two causes, one emotion, one effect. One effect, one anubhava, one satvika bhava. Means that. And then two emotions from one cause. When she saw little Krishna beginning to walk, she became happy. What's the Sanskrit for harsha? Harsha, that in the Vyabhichari Bhava. And fearful. Why fearful? Because he may go and step on a snake, or he may go near the sharp horned bulls. So he may be in danger. Right? So one cause and two vyabhicharis, two transitory emotions. Okay, and you have two more classifications of what will move you. So the example is that your heart can be like a big city or like a small hut. So our Mila Mataji has, let me see if I can find it quickly. She has a beautiful, she has a beautiful, it's very small. Picture of the big. Anyway, this will take me forever. You can see 170 pictures in this. Maybe I can. No, I can. Okay. Like, for example, if an elephant enters, let's say, this room, will you notice?
No.
No. Or if an elephant enters somewhere on the outskirt of our big Mayapur compound. So that's what's your scale? Yes? So what's your sensitivity with regards to scale? This is one criterion, and the other one is the softness of your heart. So you have 3 degrees of softness or hardness. Mentioned here. One is like a thunderbolt, one is like gold, and one is like wax and shellac. So shellac is like what you have here, old vinyl LP discs. That's shellac record, yes. So it can be melted, some kind of a resin, or it can easily melt. Shellac. The hardest is compared to lightning. So I hope nobody has ever touched lightning, but maybe some of you have touched the electric wire. Have you ever touched? How did it feel? Did it feel hard? It feels hard. Of course, now we try to prevent this. We create special sockets and special electric jacks, so you can't touch. But you know, we are experts. We can touch even in our European outlets sometimes, and it feels like something very, very hard. Yes. So lightning is even harder. So that's a classic comparison. We have Vajranaka Vajradamshtra, Lord Nrsimha, with lightning hard nails and teeth. We have super famous, it's not so fashionable anymore, super famous Vajradanti toothpaste. So it means it makes your teeth as good, as strong, and as hard as lightning. In theory, according to the advertisement. I mean, it's my favorite toothpaste, but not always works so well. So sometimes our heart can be like this. So even we see devotees, even we participate in the kirtan, we read about some moving lila, and our heart is not softened, is not flowing. Then gold is an interesting example because it's rather soft. That's a classic example. You know, you bite a piece of gold, it's soft enough that you can slightly dent pure gold. If it's mixed, then it will be harder. But if it's more or less like 999, then you can usually. I think you can usually make a dent in it. And then it can be like honey, like wax, or like butter. So wax, here's a nice picture of wax. This is a nice picture of butter and honey. So if some people have heart like honey, which is mostly liquid or easily liquefied, and some people have heart like wax. So these are different comparisons given by Rupa Goswami to how our heart can react. But Prabhupada says that ultimately, even under certain conditions, under certain circumstances, any heart can be melted. Good news. By a combination of certain chemicals. Even a diamond, which is supposed to be the hardest thing in terms of firmness, I guess if you throw it in the sun, it will melt. Or if you use some special process. Okay, so these are the 33 Vyavicharis, which are compared to spice that enrich the experience of a devotee. This leaves us with the last wave of the Southern Ocean, which is Sthayi Bhava, or steady emotion, steady ecstasy. And this is one of the most important contributions from Rupa Goswami. Musical conjunction here. Prabhupada translates continuous. So sthayi, the emotion that stays. And the rest of the book is dedicated to these sthayi bhavas, and they are described through these 5 bhavas, or rather 4, in which sthayi bhava is enriched by which transitory ecstasies, what are the usual actions, anubhavas, in which sthayi permanent relationship, and who are the people participating in this sthayi bhava. The example is that the sthayi bhava is like a powerful king. So all the other bhavas are subdued or ruled or directed by one's sthayi bhava. And what is the difference between the direct 5 sthayi bhavas and 7 indirect?
The direct are always there.
Always there, yes. So the 5 direct are, what are the 5? Shanta, Dasya,
Sakhya,
Vatsalya, Madhurya, yes. And indirect? Ghastly, laughter, anger,
disgust,
Wonder.
Oh,
disgust, I think you already is.
disgust. Disgust is disgusting.
Fear, 2 more.
Shock.
Compassion.
Compassion, and 1 more.
Chivalry.
Huh?
Chivalry.
Shiva, yes.
Seven.
I'm always confusing this. There is also disgust, which, I mean, there is ghastliness, I know, but...
Yes, yeah, jugupsa, yes.
There is disgust and shock sometimes, okay, which is like a synonym.
Disgust, shock will be part of bhaya, or fear, bhayanak or bhaya. Yes, and disgust is jugupsa or bibhatsa when something is unpleasant. So, let me see. Let me show you some alternative translation of these.
Vinata has
Vinata Mataji, you have some question?
Yes, I was thinking before when you were explaining that this Bharata Muni, he had figured out only these 7 secondary rasas, and he did not establish these 5 primary. So I was wondering how come? What is the I mean, such a detailed analytical, detailed analysis of whatever.
This is the whole point of Rupa Goswami's revolution. Like around his time or slightly before, they were just adding Bhakti Rasa as one of the rasas. So 7 secondary plus Shingara as the main rasa for all the drama, conjugal romantic love, and then they were trying to add Bhakti Rasa, and some like Abhinava Gupta, or Shankara, they were idolizing Shantarasa as the highest form of Bhakti Rasa. And this is the great contribution, because basically they saw all the emotions as material. And the only spiritual way was minus all the emotions. And this is the great breakthrough for Rupa Goswami to show that no, there are all the rasas in the spiritual world, in the spiritual life, and all these others are ruled by the mainstay Baba.
So this analysis of Bharata Muni, of this drama was made about the Lord. It was not like the mundane drama rules, but the rules for the drama which was depicting the pastimes of the Lord, or...
By whom?
By Bharat Muni.
Bharata was mundane.
So how could he not notice that there was also maternal, like parental affection and this and that, and put it in?
He doesn't have.
He doesn't have. How come that he didn't notice that there are these relationships also, like these categories, in mundane world?
He will include them among some kind of a vyabhichari temporary element. So in other words, yes, it's a good question. How come? It's such a big part of life, so why doesn't he describe? But classic rasa theory, aesthetic theory, has only 8, and if they are generous, then okay, they will add bhakti rasa as 9th.
So one time I heard this explanation, this statement, I didn't know where to put it, that in material world only these secondary rasas exist. So maybe this idea comes from this classification of Bharat Muni, where he was not able to distinguish these things, but like the secondary rasas are more prominent in our world than the principal ones. Anyway, just thinking loudly, sorry.
I wouldn't say that they're less prominent, like parental love is probably the most, as we hear, it's the purest manifestation of love in the material world, yes, the most selfless, we can say, in most cases. But based on Bharat Muni and so many other theorists of rasa, they do not even consider them as part of a drama. And you can see in a drama, this is not the main subject. This parental rasa or these other rasas. They usually focus, you can see that the main hero is some Shingara rasa and then these seven secondary rasas. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Let me... So this is like a king. This Sthai Bhava is like a king, and other rasa are other bhavas are ruled by this Sthai Bhava, the main emotion, which we call the main rasa. So now the secondary rasas. What is the difference between a Vyabhichari Bhava, which also have like fear and anger, Amarsha, and I think we have Shanka, Trasa, yes, and the Gona Rasa, Gona Sthai Bhava, secondary bhavas. So the difference will be that these Vyabhicharis are transitory emotions that are like spice. They come, create a certain movement, like a splash, like a wave in the ocean of rasa, and then they go. But laughter and these secondary rasas, they leave a permanent mark. So usually this is a permanent part of one's exchange with Krishna, these secondary rasas. So hasya is very important in friendly exchanges. You can see that they always have some laughter and jokes with the friends. For parents, karuna is very important. In the famous verse about Krishna entering the fight, the wrestling match, we have a verse describing all the 12 rasas, all the 12 according to the acharyas. So 2 of the rasas are described only indirectly. So this is karuna, 2, they are joined, friendship and laughter, and karuna and parental, they are put together. It's implied that they are together. So here, these 32, 33, 34, we have a short list of like a preview of the Sthai Bhavas, which will be thoroughly discussed in the remaining chapters of the Nectar of Devotion, so 35 through 51. As you were just approaching Krishna consciousness, how early did you hear about the 5 rasas? What's your experience?
The beginning.
In the beginning.
Introduced at the beginning.
The very beginning. Yes. Did you ponder what is your rasa in the beginning? Like before devotees said, no, don't you dare. Did you think about what could be your relationship with Krishna? So what was your decision before you learned that Madhurya is the top? What were you? Huh?
Progressively.
Progressively.
Dasya.
Dasya Sakya.
We don't know. Dasya.
Dasya. Anybody?
Sakya.
Sakya, friendship. Anybody had some other ideas? What was your preference for rasa or relationship with Krishna? You had some? Friendship.
At least friendship.
At least friendship.
It is like Dasya was the core, and then mixing with Sakya and Madhurya.
I had Sakya as friend, but soon came this like mother. I'm still, I think, annoying all these brahmacharis.
Yes.
I want to be mother to everybody. I'm not sure.
Did you think about friendship?
At the beginning, for sure.
Yes? Okay. Maybe he got already Siddha Pranabhi.
Now it's your turn.
Yeah, it's very embarrassing actually. I can share it. I think, I just read the books and then I moved into the ashram, but I had read the Gita, but I didn't have much association with the devotees. And then I went to pick up books from Kyiv. So we were flying, I think we were flying from Lviv to Kyiv, and then I saw the questions for initiation on the wall. And one of the questions, and I think I copied them into my notebook. That was, if you remember, there was a time that you had to answer 13 questions. And before
First or second?
the first initiation. Now we have the Guru Disciple course.
Still are there.
Still there, yes. And I remember one of the questions was, what is your relationship with Krishna? And me being a very fresh devotee of 2 weeks, I thought this is a serious question about your eternal relationship with Krishna. So I thought, oh, that's nice, they're asking me, what is my relationship? And then I know in our temple, I knew that, yeah, my president, I knew he's just Ugraha. But one other senior devotee was Amalabhakta. He introduced himself and he said, I'm Amalabhakta Das. So I thought he got this part of Das only because he must have chosen to be a servant and not a friend or... So I thought, oh, I should think twice. Maybe I should choose like something like friendship or something. Maybe I'll get some other part of it. Just very, very fresh, ignorant personality. So initially, of course, I was attracted, being after liberation, I was attracted to neutrality, but then I was convinced by Srila Prabhupada that no, Bhakti is the highest mukti. And within Bhakti, you have all these different relationships. So, 10th canto describes friends and parents, all these 5 rasas. So I thought about friendship. I remember I was considering friendship. But again, I'm asking this as, as a half-humorous exercise, because you know that Srila Prabhupada warns us to not fantasize and speculate about our eternal relationship, but let it manifest through purification of the heart. Because otherwise, like in my embarrassing example, I will do this out of false ego. So either something that's convenient or comfortable, or something that's prestigious. Now we know, of course, that gopis are the top devotees, so of course, if gopis are the top, and this is something that I have to be, then maybe, this is what I should choose. No, Prabhupada says, you purify your heart and let it awaken in your heart. That's the proper process. Of course, after, we have some quotes from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says that if you have been chanting for something like 15 years, 15, but 64 rounds.
That's 45 for us.
Times 4, yes. So 15 by 4 is 60.
60.
Yes. If you go by the number. Then he says, it maybe is high time for you to think, to look into your heart and see what is your eternal relationship with Krishna. So in other words, it is a valid part for soul searching. And I remember Sankirtan Prabhu, some of you may have known him from Switzerland. And Brahmachari, Swiss Brahmachari, he was preaching in China and where else? Here around also. I think he was coming here, I think, at least several times. So he suddenly was diagnosed with cancer, and then he was fighting, but then, it was not improving. And then he asked his Shiksha Guru, his mentor, Rohini Sudha Prabhu, should he hear the last 5 chapters of the Jaiva Dharma, which are dedicated to primarily Madhurya Rasa and the gopis, Ujjvala Nilamani, the continuation of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's exposition. And Rohini Sudha Prabhu told him, if not now, then when? If you're about to die within some months, then if you do not try to study and think and ponder this now, then when will you? So yes, it's high time for you to at least listen and at least consider deeply. So he was sharing this. I think it's no secret, but it shows two parts. One part is that we should not do this prematurely and cheaply. Prabhupada warns us again and again, because there are plenty of people who push for some cheap adoption of Raganuga sadhana, on one hand, but on the other hand, it's not that you have to be an eternal neophyte in terms of your tastes and internal practice. We are not supposed to be bragging about our internal realization, and if you brag, then good luck, because Krishna doesn't like it when we boast or brag, and not many of other personalities like it either. Doesn't seem that anybody likes when somebody's a braggart. Bragging, do you understand? Da se hvališ.
I mean, there's this book, Simple for the Simple.
Yes. She never even read anything. But Krishna revealed.
Just came, like she was not thinking.
Yes. This is sort of the ideal illustration of Krishna's mercy and Prabhupada's process. But on the other hand, we are supposed, at least, this is part of sadhana to move to asakti. And asakti means eagerness. It's not perfection, it's sadhana. Asakti is still part of sadhana, of even Vaidhi sadhana, but this is the time when we are supposed to be eager for Krishna's service in Vrindavan. So this is usually the stage where one will have one's eternal relationship with Krishna revealed in the heart, or taste manifesting stronger and stronger some inclination. Vinata Mataji, go ahead.
What are we exactly supposed to do, in order to find out our relationship with Krishna? Become eager, that's one thing, okay? But then...
Read and listen a lot, pray strongly, and be exposed to Krishna Lila profusely, asking Krishna for mercy to reveal himself in some specific way, more specific way that is our individual relationship with him. This is the idea. Asakti means we are very eager, so that means we are asking Krishna, please reveal yourself. You can read Kalyana Kalpataru by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where he describes the whole path from gross materialism all the way into the rasa dance. Very beautiful songbook, Kalyana Kalpataru. Okay?
You say it's already coming on a Sakti?
Pardon?
Do you say it is already coming on a Sakti, our realization of our relationship with Krishna? Or we need to be on Bhava?
It may come never. Even on the stage of prema, may not be revealed.
Really?
Yes. Or it may be, in some rare cases it may come even before Shraddha. Yes.
Before Shraddha?
Yes. Extremely rarely, it may come together with Shraddha. You get Lobamaya Shraddha. And it usually means that you have been practicing before, in previous lives, and now you just continue. And therefore, as soon as you touch the book, you're already attracted in some specific way. You're very eager to play with Krishna, throwing lunch boxes and herding cows. You hardly know anything, but you know this is the goal of life. Yes, so, but that's more rare than Bhava Bhakti. And so if you see many Bhava Bhaktas around you, then this will be rare. But at least at Nishta, when we are at least half above selfishness, at least when, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it's at least half-half. That half we are moved by the anarthas and half by the desire to please Krishna. So that's the minimum stage where we can trust our attraction to some extent, very carefully. So Nishta, Ruchi, but Asakti. Asakti is between Asakti and Bhava, this is the time where we need to fully become mad after Vrindavan Krishna, if that's our place. Again, it's also okay if someone is mad after Lord Ram, or even Narayan or Nrisimha, that's fully accepted in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
I met one lady in Sankirtan. Where is this on this letter from Shadapram? She had they have realization, they saw their body operation. They went out of the body and were looking at themselves while not being in the body. Which part is this on this from Shraddha to Prema?
Shraddha to Prema has to be connected to Krishna at least partially. And breaking out of the body, you can see that it is available almost to everybody. I mean, it is available to everybody. How conscious, it depends on the person. Theoretically, Nishta means you can always put spiritual life above body concerns, and Bhava means you're free. Your freedom is confirmed and authorized at Bhava. You're a liberated soul at the stage of Bhava. But at Nishta, you are able to make a conscious choice in favor of spiritual life and not in favor of passion or ignorance. That's Nishta, means your choice is steady. Before that, it can be anishtitas. There are good days, and there are days that are not so good.
What about this liberation? You mentioned Bhava, what kind of liberation?
What comes?
You said Bhava, there comes liberation. What kind of liberation?
Not merging with Krishna. Means you are not bound by the material world anymore. Means you're officially free. You're officially free from the bounds of the material world. Of course, liberation per se in itself is not our goal. Our goal is love for Krishna. That's why we want to be free from the influence of illusion, but we are not so much concerned with the location geographically in this material world, in the spiritual world. Okay, so let's just... Oh, it's already 1:30. Yes, so dear practitioners of the best process, which is providing the best positive program, not just negative but positive. So we are studying different components of rasa. Vyavicharis are transitory varieties of spices that enrich one's experience. But the basis of all of these, what makes these ecstasies transcendental is vibhava. So if we establish proper vibhava, that Krishna is the object of love and we are a loving servant, then it makes all of these experiences transcendental. And then this becomes a transcendental adventure. And when we chant, when we associate, when we offer lamp to Krishna, when we hear about Krishna, when we eat prasadam, we do this to reorient the enjoyership and offer the enjoyment to Krishna. So we do this to make Krishna happy, Krishna and Krishna's devotees happy. So that's the idea of sadhana, to establish the proper vibhava for all the parts of the bhava experience. So for Krishna's pleasure. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, jai, Bhavarasa ki jai, Prabhupada, Guru Vishta Kripa Sri.